I'm here with Christine Baumgartner, who's from Klein Partner in Austria, actually just outside of Innsbruck. And today you're joining me from a BDA, a Blue Dynamics Alliance sprint. Can you tell me where it is, if it's not a secret location?
It is in Upper Austria, in the forest from Phil Auersberg. It's his own forest, and it's not easy to find it. It's in the near of Passau and Schading. And it's very nice here. Also, the Donau is not far away. It's just down there. And yes, we are since yesterday here. We came with the car, and it was a little bit hard to find it.
Is it because it's such a small place, it's hard to find? No, I'm joking.
It's not so small, but it's very deep in the forest, and the way inside the forest are very, very small, and it was dark.
The thing for a long time, Plonistas, members of the Plone community, they will know about Philip and the history of Philip's involvement with Plone, and the fact that Philip's, I guess was it a castle? It's a castle that was on the mountain, and that was the very first castle sprint that is the stuff of Plone legend, which I unfortunately was not doing Plone. Oh, at least I had started doing Plone, but I was not at that sprint, and very famous sprint, and you were there.
There has been a lot of sprints, although there has been castle sprints at the beginning of Plone history, and we had also made a Plone at the Plone anniversary at, I don't know which one, 15 years old Plone.
That's right. I was going to ask you, what year that was.
We also made the castle sprint. It's not in the mountains, it's near of the Donau. It's in Lower Austria. It's in the near of Vienna. But how Phil told you, it's not his castle; it's the castle of his brother.
Okay.
So, but if it's possible, maybe next year there will be a sprint there.
I love it. This is one of the things about the Plone community I love. It's that people who are involved are so easily convinced to do something to help Plone. and for people like you, who's an organizer, that must be a lot of fun, because you can get people to do things for you. And this is one of the things that you're very famous for, which is the organization, the bringing together of community initiatives, not just organizing the sprints, but other things you've done too. But I want to ask you, how did you get involved in Plone? How did you get started with Plone?
Okay. I read your question, so I was thinking about what was first, because it's long time ago. You asked me what I have done before Plone. I studied law at the university in Innsbruck. Then I met Jens, who was
Klein,
a programmer at this time. And he told me about open source. And at this time, I've been a member of the working group Science and Responsibility at the university in Innsbruck. And I said, no, okay, it's a very interesting issues also for our working group. And we come together with the Linux user group together, and we organized information days for open source it called IFIT. Information says for information technology, free information technology. And it was 2003.
Wow. All right.
And at this information days, there has been a Plone member called Georg Pleger.
Okay, name's not familiar.
No, not. Is a very. I think it's history, special history. And so we get connected with the Plone community, and also with Blue Dynamics, and with Phil and Robert Boulanger. And Phil and Robert Boulanger, they organized a lot of things to the Plone community at this time. They founded the Plone Foundation at this time. Mm-hmm. There has been the first conferences in Vienna, 2004 and 2005.
Did you help organize that?
No. At this time, we founded our own company. Jens and I founded the Klein Partner KG. Then we founded together the Blue Dynamics Alliance. So we get closer connected to Phil and Robert Boulanger. And the Blue Dynamics has been at this time one of the very pressured company who bring Plone fall.
Right.
In sprints and everything, Plone Foundation, Plone community. And so we connect to the Plone community. So it's been at the beginning at the Plone community.
Yeah, very much.
It's so long years ago. And I was really thinking, what was first? Founding company or Plone community or the Blue Dynamics Alliance? It was a little bit hard. What was first?
Well, especially since now this is the year that Plone turns 20.
Yes.
That's amazing. Yes. I was looking in the marketing channel for Plone, and there's some discussion about the cake because we want to have a cake because the last cake we had was at the Plone conference in Ferrara. And so that was 18. So when Plone was 18, so now we need a 20-year-old cake for Plone.
Yes.
But anyway,
of course.
So it's been 20 years. Yeah. So that's pretty amazing.
It will be in 2 years, I think.
No. It's this year. It's this year.
What? This year? This year, 20 years? Really?
Yes.
Plone?
Yep.
So,
2001 was version 0.1.
Okay. Oh God. So I realize I'm old.
You're not old. Okay, so tell me more about the you were studying law, and so you have a law degree. You're a lawyer. Are you using your law diploma in your work?
I'm not using so much anymore because so I told you we founded our company 2004. I'm using law for the contracts I need, but not more. So I'm a project manager. I'm an IT project manager with our first big project. It started 2005. We started a very big project, a Plone project with the Blue Dynamics Alliance. And it was Zucchero. It was together with the Max Planck Institute.
Oh, wow. Never heard of it.
It was very big. No. Yes, it's so far away. It's history. We have to dig out everything.
Yeah.
Yes, and therefore I made the course for project management. And it was also fine that I studied law for this big project because we had a little bit problems at the beginnings with this project. Because first thing was we didn't realize that the Max Planck Institute is a public institute, a European public institute. And also the public institute didn't realize that they had to ask in all European countries for this project.
So it's the bidding process, the bid
Yes.
process? Yeah.
Yes, they didn't realize it. So we had really at the beginning a big problem to correct everything that we are under the limit.
Right.
So it's not. And then the next problem has been with Plone, it's open source, and at this time open source has not been so common like now. And then say it's not possible to develop a software with open source in a public institute. It's
Really?
not possible.
Wow. Okay.
But because of the EFIT, we know a lot of people, advocate people and lower people who are working for open source, and we back them to make a console for us, what we can do. So it's okay that we use the open source.
That's astounding because in Europe now, the reputation Europe has is that it prioritizes the use of open source, especially for public institutions. I think there's, now. And I think there's even a requirement. You start with looking at open source solutions first, and then if there's nothing available, then I suppose you can look at proprietary. So it's amazing to think that so that was about 2003, you said 2004?
2004, 2005. It was the beginning. It was the beginning that also public instituted say, yes, he will do it. And I remember it was, there's been the Berliner Erklärung. There was a declaration for a public institute to use in future open source. And also Max Planck declared it. Wow. But it was new. It was new that the law from the public institute for Max Planck say, no, it's not possible yet. So we say, you just declared that you want more open source, and now you say to us, no.
So that's great. So what you're saying to me is that Plone or your work with Plone is what helped get the adoption of open source to be part of, I guess, the law in Europe. That's amazing.
Yes, it was at the first time. It was really very hard. Open source was new. There was a for a lot of people. Open source was it's crazy. It's freaky. It's not serious.
Right. Marginal, bizarre, eclectic. Yes, I remember that. That's great to see in 17, or I guess 16, 17 years, what a change there has been in the attitude towards open source. I actually wish that everyone around the world would take on that same philosophy. It does seem, and in the United States too, there is a movement to say that if it's a public institution, it should be public software, open source software. And that makes sense.
But it was a long way.
Yeah. So tell me more about that first project, the one for Max Planck.
It was the Institut Bibliothek Hertziana. It's the Institute for History and Art in Rome.
Wow.
And they were looking for a research database, research tool for the students and also for the science. And so because it was historic people, they didn't know really something about law. They just see Plone and say, yes, it would be wonderful. And we say, yes, very big project, wonderful. And didn't realize that they have no ideas from their law and their duty as a public institute. And we make the contract and say, okay, everything fine. And suddenly just started and said, okay, contract will come, the contract didn't come. So why not? And say, okay, there's a problem.
Wow,
There's a lot of
when I think of the complexity in getting projects started, it does seem like everything around the project, so not the technical problems, not the technical solution, it's the things that happen in the lead up, the negotiations to get things started and all the different conditions and the terms. But that sounds particularly difficult just because of the nature of open source at the time. So tell me about Blue Dynamics Alliance, because I remember when I was starting to use Plone, I would encounter the name and I was going, okay, who are these mysterious people? What's this alliance about?
mystery.
Yeah, tell me more.
Okay, I tell you how I told you that the Blue Dynamics Phil Auersbeck and Robert Monricher, they bring Plone forward at this time. And the Blue Dynamics have been very strong at this time and did a lot for the Plone community and also for the Plone Foundation to bring it forward. And when we made together the project with Zucchero and Max Planck Institute, Phil and Robert said, we should make it together, make together a company. And at this time, our company has been very, very, very small. And the Blue Dynamics has been very, very, very big. And we said, okay, if we make a company together, we're so small, they're so big. It would be nice that, and they have been in Vienna, we have been in Innsbruck. Now, Austria is not very big, but we are on the other end of Austria. And there we said, okay, I think it's better that every company is for his own, but we make an alliance.
Mm-hmm.
And we do it together. We do the project together. And we both own all memberships of the Blue Dynamics Alliance try to put Plone further.
So you work together as part of the alliance on bigger projects, but you maintain your own projects for each individual company.
Yes. So this is also the philosophy from the Blue Dynamics Alliance. So it's an alliance of companies and single person. We are not a company. We are like a community in the community. We're family in the family. And because we are working so many years together, we are all really feeling like a family.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes, how you can see it. And we just have gentle agreements how we want to work together. And we have our culture, our own Blue Dynamics Alliance culture.
Yeah, I could see the bottles. Those are big beer bottles. I don't know.
And we have also Yes, it's Blue Dynamics Alliance. Yes, maybe a little bit mystery because I don't think so. We are legendary because we are at the beginning of Plone. Maybe this because we know a lot of history, a lot of stories.
Yes. Yeah, and I
maybe
think
you
there's
should also
make
an interview with Phil. He knows more stories.
All right. Okay, I'm writing these down. I'll get to everybody. I want to get all the stories.
Yes, he knows the stories at the beginning, how it started in with Plone. And
so now I think so thank you for illuminating me a little bit more about Blue Dynamics Alliance, because I think part of what the mystique of BDA is that it was like, wait, who are these people? It's like there's this big group that's working with Plone. It was interesting to just kind of go, I don't know, like, and as you say, it's a community within a community. So I was thinking back about the first time I actually met you, which was in 2014 at the Bristol conference. And you and Jens were really kind to let me stay in your apartment because you'd gotten, I think it was an Airbnb apartment just down the street from the hotel where the conference was being held. And I remember thinking that it was one of the aspects of the Plone community that drew me in even more deeply than I was before, which was the friendliness and the openness of people in the community to just welcome new people. I mean, I wasn't new to Plone at that point because I think I'd been using Plone for about 10 years, but it was new and welcoming because I'd never, I'd talked to you maybe earlier, maybe in San Francisco, but I don't remember. But the fact that you just opened up your apartment to let, essentially a stranger stay with you, that's another precious thing about the Plone community. And so that was the first time that we met for real.
Yeah, I think this to say welcome to the Plone community, or say welcome to the Blue Dynamics Alliance, to a partner of the Blue Dynamics Alliance, it's the same culture. And because the Blue Dynamics Alliance is so old, a lot of culture from the Blue Dynamics Alliance influenced to the Plone community, and also back, of course. Maybe something of the mystery is because we have a castle.
I'm sure that's part of it. Yes.
Yes.
Someday we should find an archive of photos. Were any photos taken of that sprint?
Yeah, I know there is a TV podcast about one of the castle sprints. It's in German, right. But there's a video.
We'll have to dig
you have
that up.
To look.
Yeah.
So you will see Limi and Alan and Phil very young, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I will see if I can find it. If it is in Germany, but I think it's sometimes also in English.
Is while I'm thinking about it, is the Blue Dynamics Alliance only for Austrian companies?
No, it isn't. There has always been, so Peter is from Switzerland. Huh? He's from Austria, but he's living in Switzerland. His company is a Swiss company. No, it's open to. We also had alliance partner from Germany. No, there's no. I don't know why it's only in Austria, but normally there's no. It must be in Austrian. It mustn't.
Yeah, and just looking over the years at how strong Plone has been in Europe, but particularly in the German-speaking part of Europe, I'm sure that Blue Dynamics Alliance is a huge part of that.
It is. Yes, it's because I just want to say it again. I think one point of the Blue Dynamics Alliance is that we are nearly so old as the Plone community itself.
Yep. Okay, so some of the things that you're famous for are for being an organizer of Plone sprints, and so in addition to, so we've talked about the original Castle Sprint, which I just heard Jens say that it was the second Castle Sprint, but let's not go into that. But you organized the one in 2015, which we were calling the second Castle Sprint, even though I guess there have been many more. But you've also organized other sprints. Do you want to tell us about the Alpine City sprints?
Okay. At the beginning, when I want to organize the Alpine City sprint, I was looking for a sprint who is every year. Not only once a sprint or their sprint. I want to make a institution. I wanted to repeat it every year. And so the Alpine City sprint is from 2015 till short in front of the COVID time. It was the last. So maybe we will have this year again or next year in the winter time. But there has been always an Alpine City sprint. I know the first Alpine City sprint I organized has been 2015, and you say you remember me, the first we meet us in Bristol 2014, and I just make a little lightning talk for this sprint. And it was not a technical sprint. It was not a technical lightning talk. It was just about the sprint. And I remember that the people didn't really hear me. They would discuss about something technical. And then after me, there was a lightning talk about Max Jakob. You know Max Jakob?
Yes.
And he came after me and say, listen to her. I think it's a very, very good thing to make a sprint there, and I will be there, and I hope the other one also.
Nice.
So the first Alpine City sprint has been not so much people. And it was very important for me that to organize it very well. The people feeling well that they are coming next time again.
And they did. I think it grew and grew and grew. I remember watching so I've never been able to make it, but I've thought about going. It's just a little harder. I was looking at the maps this morning, and there's only 7,000 kilometers between your city and my city. So only 7,000. But I remember thinking about noticing those wonderful themes that you chose and the activities you chose around the sprints. So in addition to the programming that we usually do in Plone sprints, you had organized activities like visits to, I think it was a laboratory. Was it for quantum computing? I think there was one. And then you had a theme. What was the one? Was the James Bond theme? There's because there's a movie filmed at an Alpine resort. Yeah. And then you did one that was relaxation at a spa. They looked lovely.
Yeah, this was the last one. And we made the Lego Serious Play there.
Lego, yeah.
Okay, hello?
Yeah.
Yes. It was important for me. I just want to tell you the recipe of a sprint. It's like to bake a cake. So you need the pie crust, and the pie crust is the technical. It's important, everything must, there must be Wi-Fi, there must be a room, everything must okay
Beer.
for laptops. But the pie feeling, it's much more important are the people. It's very important that the people who's coming to the sprint, that they are feeling very well. So it means beer, food, a good accommodation, and then you need for every cake a topping, and the topping are the events. It's to make something together, to have fun. So for all Alpine City Sprint, I was thinking about the event. I thought it will be interested for the Plone community, for the Plone people. And I was always looking for something nerdy, geeky thing.
Yeah.
So
Very.
we have been, yes, at the Institute for Quantum Computer. We have been at the Mars Mission Support Center.
Oh, right.
We have been in the Brenner Basis Tunnel. What's in English? Brenner Base Tunnel. You know, there will be a tunnel between Austria and Italy through the Alps. A very big tunnel. They're just digging in now. And it will finish 2024, 25. And we made an excursion to this tunnel inside to see the big technical cars and caterpillars they are using there. And then we have been on the ICQ. So it was the where James Bond Spectre was, where the movie was there. And when we went back from the James Bond location, we have been there with bus, and the people see the Aquadome, the relaxing, very big relaxing spa there, and say, yes, we want to go there. Please, we want to go there. It's like, not now, next sprint. So the last
that's a happy circumstance. Yeah, happy coincidence that you saw that, or that they saw that.
Yes, they saw that they were at the back. So we want to go there.
All right, so now I'm tempted to ask you what you have in mind for the next one, but you don't have to tell me. Keep it as a surprise.
Yeah, we were just thinking about it. It's at the Blue Dynamics Alliance sprint here and say, what could we do the next time? Just thinking about. Maybe we have a nice idea, but we will see and look.
But it's nice to hear the way that you think about the sprints, because usually the sprints that I've seen are just you just organize, okay, where are people going to meet? And then they just show up with their laptops and they just start doing the work. And then everything else is an afterthought. It's like, okay, we'll get some food in, but really we'll figure it out as we go along. It's just it's not a focus of a sprint usually. So it's really nice to see the way that you've organized yours. And it's a very thoughtful way of packaging a sprint and making it more appealing than just for the people who want to get work done. It's very nice.
My sprint is people are coming to work, of course, but I focus at the sprint. I'm not focused about the technical. I'm not focused. This is work. Okay, we have to do it, but I'm focused on the people. It's very important that the people like it to be there, because they have to pay it to come to a sprint. They have to work to come a sprint. So it must be have fun. You have to be there.
It's the incentive. Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm very proud that we had the possibility at the Alpine City Sprint also to find people from the soap community. And I know there has been a big gap between the soap community and the Plone community. And I'm very proud that we at the Alpine City Sprints were able to bring both together and they grow together because of the sprints we made together.
Didn't I can't remember if it was the last one or the one before, but when you brought Zope contributors to the sprint, wasn't that where a big part of the work to get Zope onto Python 3 took place?
Yes.
That's huge.
It was the issue. But it was also it was the hard fact, but for the soft fact, it was also important to bring them together, to bring the human being together, the people together. So they talk together, they get friends. And they have fun together.
It's funny to think of Zope people as human. Oh, did I say that? We'll have to edit that. No, and then, the work
as a beep.
The work that happened at that sprint and all the work that happened to get Zope to work with Python 3 was what allowed Plone to move to Python 3. And it's a huge thing that took place. And then in the last, now I'm trying to remember now, in the last 2 years, Zope became part of the Plone Foundation, which also is an amazing, it's historically significant change. And it really does allow us to function better as a whole, because I think it's been a long time now that Plone was the primary consumer of Zope. So for us to be under the same Plone Foundation is really important. It's been very nice I'm marginally on the Plone security team, and I can see the collaboration between Zope contributors and Plone contributors. So it's been a very significant change in the history of two separate projects coming together.
I think for us as Blue Dynamics Alliance, because we know the start of the Plone and also of the Zope. And at this time, at the beginning, from Plone and Zope, people were all close together. It was a community, one community. The Plone was a little one, the Zope big, but it was one community. And then there get the gap between them. I think for us as a Blue Dynamics Alliance, because we know them from the beginning, it was easier to get them together again.
Oh, that's wonderful that those connections that you had were. I'm just floored because I'm thinking of all these things that the Blue Dynamics Alliance allowed to happen. That it's thanks to BDA that so many of these positive changes took place in Plone.
I think yes, this is one of the mystery of the Blue Dynamics Alliance.
Well, it's not so much of a mystery now because people are going to know the story, yes. Which is good. So one of the things that you and I sort of thought about when we're talking about doing this interview is that I'm interested in hearing what you would give in terms of advice to your younger self. And you had an interesting answer. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about what you think you would tell your younger self?
To live slower.
Slower.
It's healthier to live slower. I think we all try to make a lot of things and to make it now and to make it fast. And I realize it is not really healthy to try to make everything at this time you want to make it. It's better, and also for what you want to aim. It's better to make it slowly. We have a lot of time, but if we are too fast, we have not this time.
It's contradictory, isn't it?
No, not really. If once your body or you're not healthy enough because we walk too much before, you will not get the aim. So it was better you were working slowly to get the aim.
So I hope that you'll take your advice and still keep doing Plone for another 20 years. Do you see
Yes.
yourself? Do you see yourself 20 years from now still working with Plone? Are there
I
big
think
projects
so.
that you have?
I
Yeah.
think so. I don't know, 20 years with the I think you remember, and a lot of people remember, I'm trying to bring in Plone, but to bring to the Plone community more thinking about the next generation, and how to bring the next generation inside to the Plone community. And how you remember the last Plone conference in Ferrara. I was thinking about how we can make an internship program at the Plone community. And I know the Plone community is a technical community, it's an open source community. But we have, I think, on my opinion, we have also a responsibility for the next generation to bring them inside. And we have a lot of possibility to do this. The only thing is our thinking. So we are technical. Why should we do this? But it's important because the community, okay, I'm always focused of the human, of the people, not of the technical.
Right.
But the Plone community is not technical. It's a people, it's a family.
Right.
And we have to bring the next generation to the Plone community.
We do,
And
because if you don't have new people, if you don't have people working on the project, then the project eventually goes away. So of course, you're right. You're absolutely right that it's important to be welcoming, to onboard new people, to encourage them, to help them grow.
Yes. When I made it was my first talk to a conference, I realized that it was not so much interested, but there has been a lot, some companies who say, yes, we will do it. What can we do? And so we think about to make a Erasmus Plus project. So it is, was heißt gefördert? It's funded by the European Union.
Yeah.
But I thought about if we make something like this, like a program which is funded from the European Union, maybe the Plone community will realize that it is really very important issue. Not only a talk. So we just made this for my point. I just made it about this program with the Erasmus Plus to convince the community for this issue.
So do you think you've had success? Because I remember in Ferrara, didn't you bring a student with you?
Yes. We just brought 2 students to show the community what you can make with an internship and how you can get new people inside. When we have these both young people, and I told them, we are going to the Plone conferences, it's an open source community. They didn't know what is open source. And I say to him, do you know Creative Commons? Yes, of course. It's like Creative Commons. But the point is, open source was first and then Creative Commons happened. And they don't know the history. So I told you at the beginning of open source, it was a really, very hard fight. And the new generation don't know it. They don't know the history. They don't know the philosophy about open source. Oh, it's a free technology. I know. It's more than that. If they say we have a community, yes, I have also a community at Instagram. It's like, do you know what the community means? No. And I think we have a responsibility to say to young people what is an open source and what is a community. So if we want to bring new generation in our culture and in our philosophy, we have to talk to them. We have to show to them because they don't know it. For us, it's so. Normally, we made the fight, now it's normal, but it isn't. It's forgotten. And if we don't want that Plone community will be forgotten and open source is forgotten, we have to do something. We have to talk with the new generation and tell them.
Are you continuing this internship program? Is it something that you've had success getting other companies to bring on interns? Do you continue to work with, is it universities, or you've also gone and worked with high school students? Is that right?
We now at the beginning of the Erasmus Plus project, and it's called IT on Board. And we are at the beginning. So for this program, we just to try to make advices in any kind. So we have a game. So Interactive makes a game, an escape game, to show young people if it's interested in our professional. We're making an e-learning platform to introduce to our professionals. And I'm just writing a guide for internship for IT. And because European Union said last year, we need something digital, we need something remote because of the COVID and home office. I say, I make a guidance about a blended remote internship because more and more IT companies are working remote.
Yes.
So we are just thinking about how could we bring it together, internship and remote work. How we can induce interns in a remote working company.
Right. I mean, at 6 Feet Up, we've been remote now, entirely remote for almost a year. And before that, most of the developers were working remote, but now we don't really have a headquarters office anymore. So it is totally remote. So you're right. Bringing anybody new on board is very interesting because it used to be you would just sit next to each other and then talk all day long and share, well, show me your screen, and then you could show somebody how to do a thing. It was much easier. Now it requires a lot more planning and thinking about how to be in contact with somebody while you're not physically in the same place.
Yes, it's for the guidance, I had long interviews with you and long interviews with Syslab and also with Niteo from NetSupen, which are working remote for more than 10 years.
Yeah, that's right.
And I asked them how is the process, how is their working process remote? And it was very funny to talk to them because they have now a very, very effective process, say, created in the last 10 years. And in some points, they're very similar. And I just try to build a model as for remote work, and also to see what you can do with young people to introduce in such a process. What's important? How you could young people introduce in such a process? And I think, yes, it's very, it's a new way. But I think first, it is very important to know how remote work works. What you're doing with issues. It's easier to talk together if you're together.
Mm-hmm.
Which issue or work you can make remote. And also for the interns, it's very important for us to know where's the limit of remote work, or what you should do that all the remote work works. And one point is, if you're thinking just to put some tools together, and what you're working in the office are working now remote, it doesn't work. It's so.
Well,
so you have really
Christina,
to think the process.
I am thinking about how what you're describing here seems really important, because it's a continuation of what you've been doing in the Plone community, which is to bring people together and to make sure that the human aspect of an open source software project works well, or works at all. So I see you're on the speakers list for the upcoming conference. Are you going to be speaking on this topic?
There will be, we are speaking about IT on board together. And I want to have an open space at the Plone conference about the issues about the planet remote work. So I want to make a workshop together with the community and to realize if they can believe or think it's possible for their company. I know there are two new points. One point, remote work, other point, internship. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's a little bit too big for some, but I think it could work. And yes, after them, we have made this Erasmus Plus project. We want to try to make a internship program a model program, to look if we get schools working together with us, mm-hmm. and try a model, to try a program just to see if it works, a pilot program.
Okay. Pilot. Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant.
And then the next step. We have to make it step by step, I think. But I think if you're asking me what I want to do in the Plone community next, I think this is a very important point for me to bring it further in the Plone community, to bring internships, to bring new generation to looking for issues, models, to bring new generation inside the Plone community.
I love it. That's why I'm so glad to be able to talk to you, because you've had so many good ideas to bring people together like this. And I don't know where you get your ideas from, but they're really good. And I want to see more of these ideas. I'd like to help you make these things happen.
Oh, fine.
I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Good. Yeah.
So
it's good. So I need a lot of people behind me who's going with me step by step. it's good to know it.
I mean,
And
with the
it's
work
good to,
that
if I say I could convince people to move something in the Plone community.
Plone has been life-changing for me. And I know that there are a lot of students, former students I worked with who've because of the work that they were able to do to get introduced into Plone and to contribute to Plone, it's changed their life. It's established their careers. And this is the future. I mean, of course, education and bringing people together is the only way that a project can survive and continue to do well and to grow. And we've already, in the Plone community, we had the original founders, a lot of people who were original contributors to Plone no longer doing Plone. And we've had like a second generation, if you will, of community leaders. And we need to be looking ahead for the third generation. And so this is one of the very nice ways that we can do it.
I hope so. And so, as a member of the Blue Names Alliance, or a member of the very old one, it's easy to think about the new one.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking time today to talk to me from the deep forest of Austria and interrupting your family sprint. It's wonderful to see you again, to talk to you again. And I will definitely be joining your open space at the conference coming up in 3 weeks. I guess it's only 3 weeks. So Thank you very much, Christina. And I guess we'll talk to you again to find out how things are going, maybe next year, and see if we've been able to make some progress on the internships.
Yes, of course. And I will say to the Plone community, come to the open space and think about the next generation, what we can do in the Plone community for the next generation. Help us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.